Hi, it's your coach Joe Lucas. Hope you're doing well. Today, I want to talk to you about planning to do your business plan. Yes, there is such a thing as planning to plan, right? What I find is that most advisors, if they plan, which is a whole nother topic, really have this haphazard approach. It's sort of like, well, I'm gonna come in the office and if I have a team, maybe I'll throw them together and we'll talk about some things and maybe we'll write some stuff down, whip out the old Excel file, right? Put some numbers on the board, and let's just kind of hope for the best, right? And if that's your concept of planning and you're not where you want to be in your business, career, and life, you know, bad process, bad outcome. And I'm being very honest here. So let me give you some guidelines. And again, whatever you're going to do, obviously it's going to be your call, but I'm going to share with you these tips that I've developed over about 20, 25 years. Number one, where you do the plan is extremely important, and let me elaborate. I think most advisors do themselves a huge disservice by sitting in their office and then working on their plan. And I know conventional wisdom is that, well, I have all my stuff here, right? I've got my screens, I got access to all my information. But what you've got to understand is you're in your same day-to-day environment. And for many of you, that day-to-day environment is a negative anchor, negative association. So in essence, what it does is it puts you in a state you're not going to do your best work. You're just not, period. So what I recommend is, gathering your information. So whatever KPIs you need, key performance indicators, results, client lists, counts, dashboard reports, whatever. Go get them. Figure out what reports you want. Go get them run, right? Either by yourself or a member of your team, and then put them on a PDF. Hopefully, you're not going to kill that many trees. And you put it on your notebook computer, and there you have it, right? Now, where to do it? It all depends on kind of what floats the boat for you. Number one, I'm always going to say to you, go somewhere inspirational if necessary, or at minimum, an environment that's conducive to doing some of your best work, to thinking differently, right? To thinking strategically. That is so important. Years ago, probably I think over 10 years now, when I created Practice Power Academy, one of the major things we did is we created this whole online process for business planning, right? And I built it. The first, one of the things I thought was, wow, I don't have to do these business planning events anymore, right? Because everybody would just go online and kind of do their thing. And, when I've asked my client base about it and members of my Magellan mastermind, I said, hey, do we still need to do these planning events? The feedback I got was unequivocally yes. And then my next question is why? Well, because I need somewhere to go. If I don't have somewhere to go, I won't get it done, right? And you know what? That really resonated with me. So like every year, this upcoming year, we'll be in January, we'll be in Orlando for 2 days, and we're going to rock out the whole new planning process, right? And I see in my foreseeable future, 20 years from now, I'll still be hosting live conferences because I think people need that environment to do their best work. So for you, anywhere but your office, some examples real quick. Some people will go to a library with some headphones, right, or whatever you need to do and kind of work there quietly. Starbucks, country club, the beach. I do have some clients actually will rent space for a day, like a conference room or like a Regis or at a hotel or something like that, where they can kind of just get out of their day to day. Probably my most extreme case, and this has been true now for I think 17 years, I have a client gentleman who works out in New York City, and what he does every year, and he's been rock solid on this thing, is he actually flies from JFK to LAX. Then he goes into the Delta Club at LAX, and then he flies back to JFK. Gets that done really in a day, and the whole time he's working on his plan. He just found for him being at 30,000 feet clears his head. You kind of have a very controlled environment, right? There's not a lot going on around you, and that works for him. So it's just part of his plan. He does it, or maybe he'll pop in overnight if the schedule needs to be. And he's going to do it again this year. That's probably my most extreme case. Now, for me personally, in less than 48 hours, roughly, I will be getting on a boat and I will be out at sea for several days, and I'm actually doing my planning. So this is something that's been on my bucket list for like long time. I'm actually going to do my plan at sea because I love being at sea. The water's just for me, inspirational places, right? I go back to my happy places, right? It's all involves water, bottom line. So, that's what I'm going to do. So really figuring out location where to do it. Okay. Next, timelines. right? Some of you can carve out, and it's going to really, the real key differential here is what are you doing? Now, if you're going to do kind of your quick and dirty thing and set some goals, you probably may only need a half a day, right? And you can go knock that out in probably one sitting. My process with the prep work and the modules, it's strategic, right? If live, it's 2 days, and if you do the pre-work, it's probably 2.5 days. But you do it once in your career, and then you just tweak it going forward. That's the nice thing about what I do is you don't have to build a brand new one every year. You just build upon it. But whatever you're going to do, you got to figure out there's two modalities: either get it all done or chunk it, right? And everybody's going to be a little bit different. So if you're going to chunk it, the best thing to do is figure out, okay, what time of day is my high level, right? A lot of people in the mornings. In fact, we try to do a lot of our heavy lifting in our conferences early on to just kind of get it done while people are kind of mentally in a good place. And you kind of carve it out, right, from that perspective. Others, you may want to just say, I'm going to take the day, I'm going to get my head around it, and I'm going to go. And that's fine too. You've got to understand your style and what works with you, and then also who's involved. I was talking to a client of mine, and he's coming down in January for planning, and he's not bringing his team for the first time. And we were talking about it, and I said, it's going to be interesting for you because my sense is in previous years when you've brought the team, they've influenced you. Because you want to make quote unquote everybody happy, and you may not be driving your outcome that you want. And so my point is, make sure you have the right people around you. If you need the people around you, if not, you want to do it yourself, that's fine too. But you've got to figure out that process. And the last thing I'll share, because we want to kind of keep it kind of short today, is make sure before you go into any planning process, you really need to do a thorough look back at what has transpired this year. So 2018 plan, what happened in 2017? Because I think a lot of times we get caught up in, we don't do that I call that benchmarking and review process. What happens is that you kind of take the same concept and you just kind of keep rolling them into the next year. But if you look back, you may find that you've not executed really well. That, you really haven't it's not really well thought out. And it's been kind of sitting there, right? And then the second thing is that you want to memorialize what has worked. Because, we're all guilty of this, right? You find a strategy, you do something and it works, and then for some weird reason you stop doing it. And I was talking to actually one of my newest platinum partners, and he did seminars, and they worked, and he hasn't done one in 3 years. And I'm like, okay, walk me through that. And he goes, and he really didn't have a good reason, other than he really didn't think about the kind of business he got from it. Because I think most people in this industry are so busy trying to get things done that they're not looking at what's going on. There's a big distinction there, right? Being busy is not a goal of our industry. Being effective is. And being strategic is critically important. Remember, you've got 3 identities in your space. You've got your professional/technician identity, right? The planner, the advisor, the money manager, whatever it is that floats your boat, right? Then you've got the business owner, which is a strategic process, right? Then you've got the entrepreneur, which is a strategic process. But if you're spending 98% of your time tactical in technician professional mode, where are these 2 things getting done? And business planning is all about getting these two things done. In fact, reality, the success in our industry is about getting these 2 things done. But yet most of you think about your time allocation, some of you just say, wow, I never thought of it that way before. So there's one of your breakthroughs for today, right? But that's what needs to be done. Most people in this industry spend, 80, 90, 95% of their time in their professional modality, which I understand, but you can't spend that much time there if you're going to scale and grow your business. Incompatible goals, okay? So there's some things I want you to think about again. Where, critically important. How, process chunks, right? And then prep. Make sure you look at what worked well, what didn't work well. Do a thorough review, recap, benchmark of the year. Don't just kind of blindly go into a new year. I'll set some new goals, or I'll set the same goals I've had for the last 5 years. By the way, if you're setting the same goals over and over again, that's a clue. It may need to do something different, okay? Be well, and I'll see you again very soon.